Beautiful way to start the morning. I'm Pat McCutcheon. I'm going to be your worship associate for the service. Welcome to the humble Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, an open-minded, open-hearted spiritual home to everyone who values acceptance for all people and care for all life on earth. We gather together again back here on ancestral Wiyot land and at home with the technology of Zoom. Now, Reverend Peter Farriday will open sacred space by lighting the chalice. How could I forget to say how glad we are to be back here on our ancestral Wiyot land? We are. Thank you, Peter.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome you and second Pat's welcome to folks on Zoom as well. Nice to have you here. How's that? Is that better? I'll speak up. Thank you. Each Sunday, and at many of our other gatherings and meetings, mostly online these days, we light a chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our accompanying words today are adapted from reading number 434 in our Singing the Living Tradition hymn. Sacred Spirit of our radically interconnected existence and our deeply intertwined lives, help us to remember here our highest aspirations. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to the communion of all life, and to each other. In kindling our Unitarian Universalist chalice flame, we invoke and invite into this space the divine light of wisdom, the sacred fire of justice and compassion, and dedicate ourselves anew to bringing our fullest gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. Blessed be, and amen. Every week, we also renew our commitment to this fellowship's foundational aspiration by speaking those words out loud. Please join me as printed in your order of service. May love be the spirit of this fellowship. May the quest for truth be its sacrament, and service be its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to help one another in fellowship. This is our aspiration. Another regular occurrence is spending a few multi-generational minutes together before the younger ones go to their religious exploration program. Our fellowship's Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, Amy Day, has this week's specifics.
Good to see so many of you here today. Yay. So yes, good morning. My name is Amy Day. When way back when, if you can remember, we used to have a little youth choir when we would gather in person, and we would get together before the 11 a.m. service. And I had this lovely troupe of singers that would come and sing with me. And so I was looking through our website, and I saw about a month ago what Peter was going to be talking about today. And great, we have a song. We have a song that we did that corresponds to this. So it's from a Rumi poem, which you may have heard. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. And there's more words to that, but you'll hear us sing them in a moment. So this all ages piece of our service has evolved over the last year and a half as we have all evolved and adapted to meet the times. So we used to just have a story, but today we have a song that we get to sing with our youth and with our larger choir as well. So thank you.
Don't go back to sleep. 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 The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. The door is round and open, where the two worlds meet. Step across the threshold. Don't go back to sleep. 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 The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. The door is round and open, where the two worlds meet. Step across the threshold. Don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep.
What a delight. Thank you so much, choir. This is a congregation of mutual support. One of the ways we show this is by honoring any joys or concerns we carry in our hearts. Maintaining social distancing, I invite those who wish to share something to come forward and take a pebble or several from the bowl on the stand right here by the mic. Then, keeping your mask on, step to the microphone, state your full name and your brief personal joy or concern. No announcements, please. You can also drop one or more pebbles and not say anything. Then drop your pebble or pebbles into this bowl. The ripples formed represent how our cares and prayers move out from this community into the world, touching others. If you're new with us today, of course it's your choice, but there are no special requirements. So please join in if you're so moved. Once again, take one or more pebbles, share verbally if you care to, then drop your pebble or pebbles. So we begin.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Joanna Welts, and yesterday was the Pacific Central District Women's Pacific Central District Women's Retreat on Zoom, and it was absolutely wonderful. Yesterday, for the first time, they had a keynote speaker, Paula Jones of Washington, D.C., and she was telling us about UUA's 8th principle. And it's on, I don't know exactly how it's worded. I know it's about racism. So over 100 congregations have already approved us, and I would like to see our fellowship really get on that track. And I'm following in the steps of Bev Allen, Sue Mossman, and Taya Gass, who in the 80s really worked on getting the women's part of the UA get it going. So I'm so glad to be part of this group.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dana Jordan, or I'm also known as Day here at the congregation. And actually, I have a piece of rose quartz here, which is wonderful. I'm dropping my stone in gratitude because I am home in the United States after a very unexpected lockdown overseas in rural Philippines on an island in the middle of nowhere. And I had, just to describe it, I had little internet connection and almost no phone reception. And I didn't talk to my family for almost a year and a half. And just so you understand, the international travel was shut down. And I learned that the embassy was not very helpful, actually, with my situation. And so a lot of people had to just sort of endure it. And I'm really thankful to be back here as part of this congregation. So I'm going to drop my rose quartz. Thank you.
My stone is for our 2 oldest kids who are teachers and in their various venues are working on how to do what they teach. Like our middle son is a ceramics teacher. Last year, that was crazy. And our other one is a special ed teacher and has challenging students that have to be worked through this process. We do hope we get, pass on to something else soon. Oh, I'm Cheryl Rao.
My name is Tom Lewis. I have two stones for sorrows in my life. My littlest dog, Buddy, about that long, died in my arms on Wednesday morning. And Shadow, his older partner, canine partner, have been grieving this week. So I really miss him. The good thing was I got to be right there with him at 4 a.m. in the morning as he was struggling for his last breath. Then I have a favorite aunt, or I had a favorite aunt, 96 years old, lived in Atlanta, Georgia, Aunt Julianne. And on my trip, the very last thing I did was to go spend an evening with her. And she died 3 days later. So I'm so miss two important creatures, humans in my life.
John Macklin, and my flight attendant for my experience is going to be coming up here is John Schaefer. He's going to be flying with me with the Angels West group to the hospital. So it's grateful to him he couldn't be here tonight or today for us. But anyway, this is a skipping rock, and it's one of my favorite kind because when you skip on the water, you get to see it right out. And it's beautiful to see, and it's just like my spirit is so carried out in different ways. The other thing too is for those of you that can't hear at all, practically, up here, we're 6 feet away. We could drop it enough so we could read lips because that's all we have. So, thank you.
Those are double blessed. So, first, a big thank you to Tom Lewis, David Marshak, Sina Marino, Wally Lee. Who am I forgetting? Came to help hold the Black Lives Matter and the HUUF banners yesterday. Allison Bronco, right here. Yeah. If I were home, I would have it written down and I'd put it in the chat. And then this is for Terry Kopp. He's had lots of up and downs in his recovery. And here's hoping that today is another up day and they'll be able to come back home soon.
I'm Bruce Maxwell. My mom is in the high-level care of Timber Ridge in McKinleyville, and she's deeply weary of living and has stopped eating. And she's told me, Bruce, let me go. So I'm wishing her a safe passage and peaceful.
Thank you.
From Sina Marino, thanks to the crowd who gathered at the BLM band regroup on Saturday, best turnout ever, 6 people. From Stephen Satong, please think positive thoughts for Adrian Weirin, who's dealing with chronic health problems currently. And from Bert Taylor, former member Inga Leonardo's fondly remembers her friends at Huff, and she sends her greetings from her home in Pennsylvania.
We hold in our care all that has been shared today and know that some things are so large, so fresh, or so fragile that tending to them inwardly seems best for now. We also hold these tender truths in our hearts as Scarlet now drops one last pebble for all the unspoken joys and concerns that connect our beloved community. We'll follow this with a short period of silence during which you can add any other unspoken cares or prayers.
Jalal ad-Din Rumi is one of history's most revered and influential mystical poets. This coming Thursday marks 814 years from his birthday of September 30th, 1207 in what is now Afghanistan, though he lived mostly in Turkey. His lyrical yet profound calls to realize and express our spiritual essence has meant a lot to me, and I've learned to many of you. So I thought his birth was well worth celebrating. And since we're going to focus on his work this morning, a little background, but I'll just scratch the surface. It's a very fascinating life if you ever want to look it up. Rumi is commonly referred to as a Sufi, and his father was a respected Sufi scholar. Definitions of Sufism vary widely, but it's generally understood to be the inner psycho-spiritual or mystical aspect of Islam, with the central aim of forming a direct and transformative experience and or knowledge of the divine. He came from the Persian educated classes, and until age 37 seems to have been a highly respected conventional teacher and scholar. Then he met a roving dervish, in basic terms an Islamic monk, named Shams of Tabriz, who evidently was so full of some spiritual presence that it caused Rumi to write, "What I had thought of before as God, I met today in a person." And for the next 30 years, until his death in 1273, Rumi's gift to the world was to capture his dizzying awareness of his own divine connection as best he could through poetry. And 813 years and 361 days later, his words are still, in the words of translation collaborators John Moyne and Coleman Barks, a cause of its incandescence in others. A word about translations. I don't know the precise source of some of the shorter lines I'll share today later, but the major things mostly come from Moyne and Barks's book of Rumi's quatrains and odes, Open Secret. The subtitle is Versions of Rumi, so they are not direct literal translations, but they do stay faithful to Rumi's original tone and images. This first poem, however, comes from the essential Rumi, translated by Coleman Barks. It includes the G word, God, But you could do your own translation to spirit of life, divine mystery, or even your own soul. Also, I cut 2 lines that referred to a story from the Christian Bible that I would have had to explain the reference to, but it's not vital to this piece, so I just said, let's drop it. So with that, here is Rumi's tending 2 shops. Don't run around this world looking for a hole to hide in. There are wild beasts in every cave. If you live with mice, the cat claws will find you. The only real rest comes when you're alone with God. Live in the nowhere that you came from, even though you have an address here. That's why you see things in 2 ways. Sometimes you look at a person and see a cynical snake. Someone else sees a joyful lover, and you're both right. Everyone is half and half, like the white and black ox. You have eyes that see from nowhere, and eyes that judge distances, how high and how low. You own 2 shops and you run back and forth. Try to close the one that's a fearful trap, always getting smaller. Checkmate this way, checkmate that. Keep open the shop where you're not selling fish hooks anymore, where you are the free swimming fish. Here ends the reading.
Good morning. Good morning. It is such a great delight to welcome back the choir after a long absence. And so we've prepared a piece for you today entitled Said the Rain. And I just wanted to take a moment to share the text because I think it's a beautiful text. Said the rain to the cloud, let me come on through. I've got lots of life-giving work to do. Said the rain to the cloud, let me come on through. Send down the sunlight soon. Said the rain to the child, I will nourish you. I'll make you a world that is all in bloom. Said the rain to the child, I will nourish you, and the sun will follow soon. And all your worries will be washed away in a clear, cool moment. And all your dreams will appear to you in the clear, cool sky. Said the child to the rain, you have given me a chance to live life so abundantly. Said the child to the rain, you have given me a chance to grow tall and strong. A special welcome to Gao on the piano, joining us from HSU Music Program.
Said the rain to the cloud, let me come on through. I've got lots of life-giving work to do. Said the rain to the cloud, let me come on through. And send down the sunlight soon. Said the rain to the cloud, I will nourish you. I'll make you a world that is all in bloom. Said the rain to the cloud, I will nourish you, and the sun will follow soon. And all your worries will be washed away in a clear, cool moment. And all your dreams will appear to you in a clear, cool sky. The clear, cool have given me a chance to live life so abundantly. Sacred child, you have given me a chance to grow up tall and strong. And all my worries have been washed away in a clear, cool moment. And all my dreams have appeared to me in the clear, cool sky. The clear, cool sky. My dreams appear in the clear, cool sky.
We've been sitting a little while, so before we get more into Rumi, let's move a moment. Let me remove my mask. With a super simple Tai Chi-like exercise. Watch me first for just a moment, and we'll do this for just a minute together. All we do is find a comfortable stance. We turn our palms up and pulling energy from the earth. Just watch me for a moment, please. We're going to raise our arms while we inhale. Turn our hands over and drop them back down. When you come up, you can also raise up on your toes a little if you're comfortable with that. You don't have to. And back down. So I'll offer some words with our breaths. Again, it's fine to stay seated if you'd rather, but if you otherwise would stand in body or spirit, rise in body or spirit, spread out just a little. So first time out the words, palms up while inhaling, arms lift. Big breath, up on your toes, back down, turn your hands, come back down. So up and inhale energy, down and exhale lethargy. Up, palms up, inhale peace. Turn them over, exhale agitation. Inhale being fully present. Exhale mental chatter. Inhale gratefulness. Exhale cynicism. Inhale faith. Exhale doubt. Almost there. Inhale joyfulness. Have a smile. Exhale pessimism. Last one for our theme this month. Inhale embracing possibility. And exhale anything in your life that may hinder that embrace. And with hands together over our hearts, we offer a little closing bow of thanks to this shared sacred moment. Thank you, and please be seated. Just want to test this. Is this okay? It's all right? Can you hear me in the back? Okay, thank you. Our earlier reading of Rumi's poem, Tending Two Shops, contains this line. Live in the nowhere that you came from, even though you have an address here. It's pretty clear he's suggesting that what mystics and sages of all ages and places have always recognized, that human beings live in two worlds at once. The world of everyday or mundane reality, and the spiritual world of a transcendent or divine reality. If you're not sure, agree, I respect that, but given that our theme this month is embracing possibility, try it on for size today. Let's go with Rumi. And in their introduction to the book I mentioned earlier, Open Secret, translation collaborators John Moyne and Coleman Barks say that Rumi's odes and quatrains found there are, quote, the personal human records of a man's being given a sharp, clear consciousness of the divine and enduring it. Now, we might think that the notion of needing to endure this is odd. Wouldn't any sincere spiritual seeker desire that sharp, clear consciousness of the divine? Sure, to a point. But folks who have experienced this report that it's like a huge electrical line, and too much voltage can zap you awful. Some of you might remember the climactic scene of the original Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, where when the bad guys open the Hebrew Ark of the Covenant, one guy's head explodes and another man's face melts right down to the skull. He didn't even have a chance to say, I'm melting. Well, it's kind of like that, but on the inside, this divine blast. And Rumi tells us there's another kind of endurance needed. The patience and fortitude to somehow integrate that hugely expanded consciousness into the daily round of the material world, to try and figure out how to live decently at this address when you've directly experienced the nowhere that you came from, and how to be when you don't feel that connection. In the poem, Who Says Words with My Mouth? He refers to this nowhere as some other tavern, and likens his lack of clarity about how to live here until he returns there to being a befuddled drunkard. All day I think about it. Then at night I say it. Where did I come from? And what am I supposed to be doing? I have no idea. My soul is from elsewhere, I'm sure of that, and I intend to end up there. This drunkenness began in some other tavern. When I get back around to that place, I'll be completely sober. Meanwhile, I'm like a bird from another continent sitting in this aviary. The day is coming when I fly off, but who is it now in my ear who hears my voice? Who says words with my mouth? Who looks out with my eyes? What is the soul? I cannot stop asking. If I could taste one sip of an answer, I could break out of this prison for drunks. I didn't come here of my own accord, and I can't leave that way. Whoever brought me here will have to take me back home. This poetry, I never know what I'm going to say. I don't plan it. When I'm outside the saying of it, I get very quiet and rarely speak at all. Notice, though Rumi grumbles a bit, I didn't come here of my own accord and I can't leave that way. Mostly he gets very quiet. There's a parallel story from the Hebrew Bible when Job quickly clamps his mouth, hand over his mouth when God finally speaks to him. It's a tale for another day. And in my view, it's because both men are utterly humbled by the magnitude of the divine reality they're experiencing and fall silent in the face of it. Rumi expresses this memorably in another piece in which he proposes that this reality transcends even our notions of good and evil. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Apparently in that place, the fullness and the unity of the world is complete. But of course, we know that despite this, most of us spend most of our lives tending the material shops at this earthly address, where there are still fields, but also cow pies that we can't always avoid. And despite his own frustration over this lack of clarity, as I just shared, what am I supposed to be doing? I have no idea. He also has the conviction that my soul is from elsewhere. I'm sure of that. And he has some counsel on how to begin integrating our souls and our regular lives. There is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. This is reminiscent of the still small voice phrase you may have heard. That inner soul whisper, a sacred intuition or awareness or prodding that, if listened to closely, might guide our next step toward our greater spiritual unfolding, which can also inform and expand our vocational and relational lives. I'll add that sometimes that voice can come from outside in the form of what I'll call spiritual synchronicity. We might hear or witness something at a particularly vital moment, or find that events in our lives seem to be lining up in particularly remarkable ways. And if we're doing that soul level listening, we may get a very clear sense that this is not merely coincidental, but that, hey, my soul, my spirit self, even God herself, G-O-D-D-E, might be trying to get our attention. There is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. I don't have time today, but I'll tell a couple stories over the next few months about some instances of such things in my own journey. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, Rumi has further advice about walking the soul's path in this world. Here's an abridged excerpt from his piece entitled "The Question." God's presence is there in front of me. A fire on the left, a lovely stream on the right. One group walks toward the fire, into the fire. Another toward the sweet flowing water. No one knows which are blessed and which not. Whoever walks into the fire appears suddenly in the stream. A head goes under on the water's surface, and that head pokes out of the fire. Most people guard against going into the fire, and so end up in it. Those who love the water of pleasure and make it their devotion are cheated with this reversal. The trickery goes further. The voice of the fire tells the truth, saying, I am not fire. I am fountainhead. Come into me and don't mind the sparks. To these eyes you have now, what looks like water burns. What looks like fire is a great relief to be inside. What? What? Actually, it's pretty clear, though not necessarily on first listen. But what Rumi is saying is, watch out. Spiritual irony can be a hard teacher. Most people guard against going into the fire and so end up in it. Ouch. And when he refers to these eyes you have now, he's talking about our inner eyes that have awakened. So when we've gained enough spiritual insight and understanding, we see that if we wade into what looks like cool, soothing water to avoid our pain, or cool our unresolved conflicts, or if we devote our whole lives to mere pleasure seeking, and for any or all of these reasons, sidestep our soul's highest creative calling in life, we end up cooking in the fire of spiritual and emotional emptiness, of alienation from ourself, and thus inevitably from others, of guilt and remorse, of cheating ourselves and our loved ones and the world, of the music our soul came here with, but that we were too, fill in your blanks, fearful, distracted, lazy, scattered, people-pleasing, addicted, undisciplined, risk-averse, angry, whatever, to sing. And these same eyes come to the profound realization that if you heed the call of the voice of the fire that tells the truth, saying, I am not fire, I am fountainhead. Come into me and don't mind the sparks. if you allow the necessary discomfort of honoring your creative sparks and devote yourself to bring forth what you can from them, you will know that what looks like fire is a great relief to be inside. This isn't to suggest it's easy, but it's life-giving and it's necessary, especially now. As just one example, as the song earlier went, all my worries have been washed away in a clear, cool moment, and all my dreams have appeared to me in the clear, cool sky. As we know all too well, neither this moment, a historical, cultural, political moment, nor the sky, what with climate change-induced wildfires, hurricanes, etc., are clear or cool now. Both are dark and threatening. And too many of the powers that be are disappearing our own and our children's dreams with short-sighted, wayward, and willful crimes against posterity. We'll talk more about such things in future weeks. But here I'll just share one statement from cultural historian Thomas Berry. The dark periods of history are the creative periods, for these are the times when new ideas, arts, and institutions can be brought into being at the most basic level. Rumi said this more poetically. It's likely to get to me. When school or mosque or tower or cathedral or temple or minaret gets torn down, then the dervishes can begin their community. Not until faithfulness turns to betrayal and betrayal turns again to trust can any human being become part of the truth. We are living in a period when the most basic of social and environmental covenants are being betrayed. It's a heartrending time. But Rumi also says this, and I believe him. In the ruin of heartbreak, you find the diamond of a divine passion that can resurrect the dead. In the ruin of heartbreak, you find the diamond of a divine passion that can resurrect the dead. That divine passion connects back to our willingness to enter the creative fire and to embrace new possibilities by tenaciously stoking that fire in our minds, hearts, bellies, and communities. In part, I hope we'll do this in our shared ministry by following Rumi's advice to work in the invisible world at least as hard as you do in the visible, so that soul meets society in what spiritual teacher Andrew Harvey terms sacred activism. Again, we'll talk more about that another day. Some of you know your soul's most bountiful path or paths. But if that's not yet clear, or if you just need a boost, check out some of Rumi's one-line encouragements. These probably came from other sources, but they're one-liners here, larger pieces. A secret freedom opens through a crevice you can barely see. Let the beauty we love be what we do. There are hundreds of ways to kneel and kiss the ground. As you start to walk out on the way appears. On that way, we'll likely make some mistakes and probably learn some not always comfortable things about ourselves, lessons. Yet even here, Rumi cheers us on. If you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished? If you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished? Again, I'm not saying walking this path is undemanding or painless. I'm saying it's needed and it's worth it. And Rumi spoke of betrayal. Many times we betray ourselves and head for the familiar waters of temporary comfort instead of striding into the soul fire that brings true relief. I face that choice every day, and I don't always pick the fight. But the lyrics to a song we'll soon encounter are based on a Rumi poem, It begins, come, come, whoever you are. But the line it omits tells us what to do if we betray ourselves. Even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times, come, yet again, come. Do this, because whatever your gifts may be at your present stage of life, this hurting world needs you to give them to the best of your ability. Even if you have broken your vow 1,000 times, come, yet again, come. Finally, speaking of songs, our All Ages song was another Rumi poem set to music. It speaks beautifully about the needed spiritual wakefulness we've been exploring. And like his earlier two shops metaphor, it again speaks of the importance of connecting to both of the worlds we humans inhabit. I heartily suggest we heed his sage advice. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds meet. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. In the spirit of all that is sacred and with a grateful happy birthday to Rumi, blessed be and amen.
We come to this fellowship because we love what exists here. It's a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. Its breath and heartbeat, its life itself can only be derived from its living components, us. For those of you with us on Zoom, and we're glad you are, there's a slide that provides options on how to contribute to the financial health of this beloved fellowship. For those here, if you have Venmo on your phone, you can scan the QR code thoughtfully provided on your order of service to donate that way. Or you may drop a check or cash into this basket as you depart today. Please make checks out to HUF, H-U-U-F. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received as Annette Gurnay Ho blesses us with music.
We are grateful for the gifts offered today and for all the gifts and blessings in our lives. And if you're visiting with us today, that's a gift in itself. We extend an especially warm welcome to you, and I'd be honored to meet you when we finish because you are our special guest. Meanwhile, one reminder to current members and friends, please update your contact information for the new fellowship directory. Email requests have gone out, and I believe you'll receive a final one this week. The weekly emailed announcements also describe options for updating your info. If you don't already receive that and would like to, please contact the office. You can find info at huff.org, huuf.org. Again, please update your info so we can finalize that directory. Our closing words come from, any guesses? That's right. First, recall from earlier how Rumi used the metaphor of drunkenness to describe how humans can so often be dazed and bemused about how to best live in this earthly shop. But here he again suggests a way out of that dark and confused prison for drunks. Discover your soul's shining radiance and fall up toward the divine. Here's the new rule. It's the old rule that drunks have to argue and get into fights. The lover is just as bad. He falls into a hole. But down in that hole, he finds something shining, worth more than any amount of money or power. Last night, the moon came dropping its clothes in the street. I took it as a sign to start singing, falling up into the bowl of sky. The bowl breaks. Everywhere is falling everywhere. Nothing else to do. He's back in that field. Here's the new rule. Break the wine glass and fall toward the glass blower's breath. Okay, since Rumi said, I took it as a sign to start singing, call it out. What do you think we're going to do? Sing, right? And guess who penned the adapted lyrics? Right again. And what do we need to do during COVID to sing safely? We need to make extra Rumi. And please join in, folks on Zoomy. So please rise in body or in spirit and spread out wide on the grass is fine. If you're not comfortable on the grass, stay on the pavement, but just spread out a little bit because we are singing. And according to the CDC, we need to keep our masks on and have extra distance. One last vital directive. For those of you who have trouble following directions, one last vital directive. I repeat, because this is about inclusivity. Some of you may know the song and know it well, but others may be brand new and have never even heard it, much less know the lyrics. So Elizabeth and the choir are going to lead it by singing it through once, and we shall remain silent. Okay, so we're gonna hold off. They're gonna sing it once, and then we shall join in. So listen to the words and melody if you don't know it. Elizabeth, take it away.
Come, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Okay, everybody now. Come, come, wherever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover
mind. May love and courage be in your heart. May love and strength be in your hands. May spirit be with you and work through you today and all your days. Go in peace, walk in love, and be a light unto the world. Shalom, salam alaikum. Blessed be Ashe Aho, and Amen. Thank you to all those who made this service possible, and especially thanks to guest accompanist Gao Shao. Like my first Sunday 2 weeks ago, if you'd like to say hello, I'll be out at the front of the path after you walk around. And then Zoom folks, I will join you after that. Thanks for being here. Blessed be. Still getting into practice of that.
You're fine. It's all good. Welcome back. Oh, thank you. You made it. My 12-year-old wasn't awake yet. It's really late. Child after my own heart. I think it's that adolescent machine. Yeah. And he loved it. So hopefully next week he'll come. Really? Did he watch on Zoom? No, he's playing outside with his sister. Great. So it's a great day for him. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you again. I'm having a hard time. I had surgery yesterday. So it's really, that's why I was late. I didn't think I could make it later.
I think we might be able to talk to each other. Yes.
Here it goes.
Hi, Jenny. Hi. Just think we can talk. That's why not? Welcome back, Sina.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to be back, actually.
Can you see pictures too? No.
Grandchildren in the pool pictures, yes. And new pictures, yes.
On your screen?
No, I'm on my phone because my computer, despite the computer guru that helped me, I still couldn't open it up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
My phone works from the same place the computer is, so.
You have the most peculiar system of anybody I've ever lived with, and I have lived with you, and it's been very peculiar then, and it's still very peculiar, as is mine. So between the two of us, we have wonderful times.
Well, you sounded really good in poetry. I'm glad to hear that. You sounded more uplifted.
There now with you, Zena.
I am.
What was that?